So in your journal, you have an alphabet that has a few different options for uppercase and lowercase letters. And all I've done is I've taken a piece of tracing paper and placed it right over the journal so that I can get a lot of use out of it. All of the letters are annotated with a 1, 2, and in some cases a 3 or a 4. If you see numbers around a certain place, that's where the stroke starts. So because this can be a little bit tricky and requires some practice, I'm just going to go through each of the alphabet letters and demonstrate how to form them. So you'll notice, instead of just one fast stroke without lifting my pen, this was my first stroke, my second stroke. I've paused here at the 3. I'm starting from the baseline, and now I have a 4 to finish out that particular letter. This style of B just goes a little bit faster. It really loops around until I get to the center point here, and then I close out with a pause. This is a way of making sure our letters are more intentional and structured. And this somewhat differs from the way that we might use our cursive to write a check, where we're just scribbling out without pausing the regular cursive. You'll also notice that all of my letters end with this little exit mark out to the right towards the dotted line. This allows me, when I'm practicing, to be consistent with how I would write those letters if I was going to connect them to another letter. So that little exit stroke out towards the dotted line is what's going to allow me to connect two letters. The E is interesting here because this is all one stroke. The E is all one stroke. This F is more of a just capital, regular capital F. That's one way to do any of the letters that you feel a little uncertain about. For me, F's and T's are letters that I sometimes just swap out with a regular letter. G's are definitely a fun one. So there are several options for G's. In this version, the only difference between the G's is this particular second G is just a little bit more flourished at the bottom. You'll note that your journal has blank paper for you to practice in guide marks, but you can also place a piece of tracing paper over your journal so that you can have the structure of the guide marks without using it only one time. So now we have H's all the way to M and N. So you can use this video to, this is the same H's just repeated, just kind of have the A's have a little bit of a repeat, just as a extra bonus practice. 2 versions for an I. You'll note that you can use this video to just pause in certain places where you need to see a repeat of how a letter is formed. The K on the lowercase, similar to the H in the lowercase, and there's a page in your book devoted to this, we want to bring our pen down to the baseline to close out that lowercase k. When I'm teaching workshops in person, the lowercase k is just one of those letters that people struggle with. But it really helps to bring that line down to the baseline. The way we don't want to do it to get that slant that we want is to make that mark starting here. We really want it to start here. And that will help us get that nice hand lettering slant. The L is all one stroke. The M is 3 strokes. That's 1 stroke, I return to the baseline. 2 strokes, return to the baseline, and then close out. Here's an extra M. That's kind of 2 little strokies there. 1, 2, 3. 1, and then go down to the baseline. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this tracing paper technique gives me the flexibility to use as many pages as I need to. Here we go. The O is all one stroke. The P is a little bit challenging, so there are a few different options for P. That one, 2 deliberate strokes. This one is 1 stroke. Lowercase p. A lot of people are confused about the letter P, but we always want to make sure we're practicing so that we're jetting those exit strokes out to the right. Several different ways to do a Q, but we stuck to kind of the simple one just to keep things nice and easy. For the R, that's another one where I return down to the baseline. That's where there's a 3 right here. Now, you'll notice I'm moving a little bit fast. Part of that is my own personal philosophy on lettering practice. I'm not the kind of slow and deliberate type. I like to just kind of go and let my creative energies move the process along. So although you can practice and pause, you won't find me really going super duper slow as I practice, because when I'm practicing a full quote, I'm probably going to be doing something more like doodling, which is a little bit faster. But you can still see those pauses. The more practice you have with lettering, the less obvious those pauses are going to be, because they're less necessary. Okay, we have one last page for the alphabet and some numbers. So we just have X through Z and some numbers. We're almost done. A couple different ways to do those X lines through your X's. You can go the other direction. I just naturally move from here down. Like with olive lettering, this is kind of whatever is your preference. Whoop. Z, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. For my ones, I either have this one with a tail or just a simple line down. My 2's 1, 2, or a loop 1, 2. Kind of like one easy motion. 3. For my 4, I do that first loop first, then the second. For the 5, there are lots of ways to do a 5. I start mine with that first line here, and then I do the bottom, and I close out on the top. Makes it kind of elegant. My 6, my 7. I also do a 7 with a line through it. 8 or 8, 9. And I have my question mark, my exclamation point, asterisk, comma, colon, semicolon, quotes, and pound sign, or these days, hashtag sign. That is the alphabet. I strongly recommend that you practice the alphabet a few times, but that you really explore letters in the context of words. So there is a space to practice the alphabet in the journal, but the broader purpose behind the journal is getting you to write words in context with phrases and full quotes. You'll also note that at the very back of the journal, there's some alternative alphabets. So we have a swirly alphabet that's really fun that you can trace. And then if those swirls don't really appeal to you, there's a boxy alphabet. And lastly, there's a brush marker alphabet. There's going to be a second video all about how to operate your brush marker, so look out for that. Have fun.